We believe in the idea that no matter who you are, no matter what you look like, no matter where you came from, no matter what your circumstances were, if you work hard, if you take responsibility, then America is a place where you can make something of your lives. Hello, New York! Creating opportunity for everybody. We can't guarantee everybody's success, but we do strive to guarantee an equal shot for everybody who's willing to work for it. But what we've also understood for too long is that some communities have consistently had the odds stacked against them. That there's a tragic history in this country that has made it tougher for some. And folks living in those communities, and especially young people living in those communities, could use some help to change those odds. It's true of some rural communities where there's chronic poverty. It's true of some manufacturing communities that have suffered after factories they depended on closed their doors. It's true for young people of color, especially boys and young men. You all know the numbers. By almost every measure, the life chances of the average young man of color is worse than his peers. Those opportunity gaps begin early, often at birth, and then compound over time, becoming harder and harder to bridge, making too many young men and women feel like no matter how hard they try, they may never achieve their dreams. And that sense of unfairness and of powerlessness, of people not hearing their voices, that's helped fuel some of the protests that we've seen in places like Baltimore and Ferguson and right here in New York. The catalysts of those protests were the tragic deaths of young men and a feeling that law is not always applied evenly in this country. In too many places in this country, black boys and black men, Latino boys, Latino men, they experience being treated differently by law enforcement in stops and in arrests and in charges and incarcerations. The statistics are clear, up and down the criminal justice system. There's no dispute. The stakes are clear, and these stakes are high. At the end of the day, what kind of society do we want to have? What kind of country do we want to be? It's not enough to celebrate the ideals that we're built on, liberty for all and justice for all and equality for all. Those can't just be words on paper. The work of every generation is to make those ideals mean something concrete in the lives of our children, all of our children. And we won't get there as long as kids in Baltimore or Ferguson or New York or Appalachia or the Mississippi Delta or the Pine Ridge Reservation believe that their lives are somehow worth less. We won't get there when we have impoverished communities that have been stripped away of opportunity. And we're in the richest nation on earth. Children are born into abject poverty. We won't be living up to our ideals when their parents are struggling with substance abuse or are in prison or unemployed, and when fathers are absent and schools are substandard and jobs are scarce and drugs are plentiful. We won't get there when there are communities where a young man is less likely to end up in college than jail or dead and feels like his country expects nothing else of him. America's future depends on us caring about this. If we don't, then we will just keep on going through the same cycles of periodic conflict